I'm Stacy LeBaron, and this is another edition of Chelsea Hubcats. Today, our guests are Marie Mazzio, the president of Kitty Connection, and Laura Appleton, my partner in crime at Chelsea Hubcats. She's our outreach volunteer. Chelsea Hubcats is a nonprofit organization that was founded about a year ago, I would say, to focus on the needs of cats within the city. We assist with free spay-neuter programs, vaccination clinics, and rescue. For more information about our organization, you can go to www.hubcatschelsea.com or find us on Facebook and join the team to make a difference. Or you can also call us at 857-776-2287. You'll hear that number a couple of times during the show today. But on today's show, I also want to focus on Kitty Connection and what that group is doing, and give a little bit of a background, Marie, on how you got started in rescuing cats.
Okay, well, it's coincidental because Laura Burns was Hubcats Boston, and I was volunteering with her organization, and I covered the Medford area because Laura was in JP, and so to distinguish, we just titled it Hubcats Medford. And Laura said, you know, she kind of shadowed me to start my own organization because she was going to be moving out of Mass. And, you know, that was it. She taught me a lot of the loops and everything. We met at her house one night, and she was typing away and started Kitty Connection. It's about 14 years ago.
Good. 14 years.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So, and that was the beginning. We're based in Medford, but we help all over where, you know, wherever we get a call. We met Sufra, who's part of
The Chelsea group.
Chelsea group, and so we would always be helping somewhere in Chelsea. And Kitty Connection, our mission is obviously helping stray, abandoned animals, find homes, but really important too is educating the public about being responsible pet owners, spaying and neutering, and you know, getting that information out there and sharing all of the resources.
So are you the closest rescue group to Chelsea? I mean, just because...
You know, I think so many groups overlap because I know Broken Tail Rescue, that's working. Yes. Their address base is out in Worcester, but you know, many of their volunteers are right in Medford as well.
Right.
So I think that there's a lot of us that just kind of overlap and really are close together. Charles River Alley Cats. So I think in some way we're all really close to each other.
You're covering the area.
Yeah, and overlap. Right. The thing that's great is I just feel all groups pretty much do a lot to kind of help each other. If we're not doing trap, neuter, and return, we always reach out to a trap, neuter, and return group that can help somebody, even if we're getting a call from the South Shore, far out on the North Shore, because you're always going to trigger those people to a group that's nearby.
So you've been around for about 15 years. Do you have any recall of an organization that was rescue-oriented called the Umbrella or something related?
Animal Umbrella?
That's it.
Yeah, and I believe they're still around.
They
Are they?
Yeah.
Are they active around here too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They, you know, I think that over the last 20 years, there are a lot of smaller groups that formed, either focusing on one designated area, like a specific town, or else following a model more like what Kitty Connection did, which was create a lot of foster home networks and sort of work where the greatest need was. And continues to be. But I think there's a lot of us now, and you know, where 30 years ago it may have been the only game in town was Animal Rescue League or MSPCA. So I think it's interesting, you know, how we've sort of grown and developed. It'll be interesting to see what happens over the next 10 or 20 years to see how we continue to grow as small organizations. Do you do your adoptions primarily out of foster care, or do you have an adoption
No, because
location?
when the state changed it that we couldn't go into the stores anymore, we primarily do our adoptions from foster homes. I kind of fixed my basement up so that we can put multiple cats there to be able to show for adoption. So it just makes it easier. Most people want to come, you know, foster homes, some do singles. Some, you know, we always say it's good to do at least 2 to 3 cats because most people are looking for a second cat. But, you know, a lot of people, when they're coming to an adoption event, they want to see at least 4, 5, 6 cats.
So they can make a decision who
Yeah,
they want to
so-
take home.
yeah.
Do you have any fosters right now in Chelsea?
No, we don't have any fosters in Chelsea. But again, that would be primarily because, you know, obviously, if somebody were from Chelsea, we would direct them to work specifically with Hubcats Chelsea, because that's what we really want, is for this group to build. I mean, I got involved, Kitty Connection got involved with trap, neuter,
Looks
and
at me with a
return.
funny
I
eye.
know, because the mentor, the
Right.
mentor grant that came out, and it was a great opportunity. It was a little scary, and a lot of, you know, this is how we really got our feet wet
Right.
in trap, neuter, and return. And you know, it was quite an experience, and you learn a lot. And you know, there were times that I was like, oh, I don't know if we can really like handle it, because it's a lot, and especially when your main focus is rescue. You know, the trap, neuter, and return aspect of it is, you know, difficult to combine the two. So of course, getting that experience, and then Stacy had asked me about how did I feel if she could help me get a grant, would we work in Chelsea? I remember our first dropping of the traps in Chelsea.
How long ago was that?
What was that? Our first grant started in 15? I think it
I
was
was gonna
2015.
yeah.
So a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
She's got the data
The tail
there, but-
end of the 14, you know, because the grants like start in the middle. And oh my goodness, near Spencer Ave, you know, in that area of Spencer Ave, we didn't even have to put the traps down. I think we started on a Thursday. By the time Sunday had come, I think we had 36 cats. I remember calling you and saying, and they were all turning out to be friendly.
Right.
That whole rescue was not one release.
Right.
That's what I found so incredible.
Can you, for the benefit of people who are just tuning in here for the first time, just maybe illustrate, you know, when you're doing a rescue versus a trap, neuter, release, you know, why you would use one versus another? Because you just mentioned that you had one effort and you caught 36 cats, and most of them were friendly.
Yeah, all of them were friendly in that one.
Which could mean that somebody's cat got out and they're lost, or it could be that somebody's cat was abandoned and was formerly social and has an opportunity for a new home, right?
Yes.
So, so that's the friendly aspect. But what
Yes.
about the release aspect? Talk about that a little bit.
Well, obviously, the trap, neuter, in return, which I think is really valuable, because you really have to stop those reproduction numbers. And, you know, basically it's trapping, and if a cat is, you know, feral or not friendly or can't be domesticated, and there's a lot of people out there. I mean, I loved it myself when I first got involved in rescue, rehabbing the, you know, the feral kittens, the feral
shy
cats.
cats.
Yes, well, feral and shy, there's kind of like a difference. Some of those ferals, you really have no choice but to trap, neuter, and return. I remember one of my first times, I had this little pen area where I could let them out and, you know, kind of judge how's this cat going to react when I let him out of. And I remember it was definitely, this cat was feral, and I was slowly trying to walk my way out of the pen because I could see that, you know, he definitely didn't want to share any space with me, and it was going to be me or him if I didn't get out of there.
And often that's because of fear as
Yeah.
opposed to ferocious.
Oh, absolutely. I'll be honest with you, I've never been bitten by a feral cat in all the times that I've been doing this. It's the domestic cats that you have to be careful of. Those are the ones in the beginning that I was always bitten by, because you're trying to comfort them, you know that they're friendly, and you don't realize that fear is in all of them. They have no idea I'm there to help them. So, you know, and this is what we try to pass on to people when they're adopting cats, that they have to give them time. I mean, we're like kidnappers. You know, when they come in, they get adopted from us, even from a foster home. You know, the cat's probably been moved from, maybe if it was a surrender, or if it was had a home and dumped outside. Now it comes into a foster home. It's starting to settle in. And now all of a sudden this complete stranger comes in. and adopts it. And, you know, I always try to tell people, put yourself in the animal's shoes. How would you feel going home with this complete stranger? You know, that's why we want to encourage them to use a safe room, because you use less stress energy in one room. If I took you home with me and you'd say,
Would you take me home in a carrier?
Put you in the bathroom or the bedroom? Or the...
I always say to people, if I let you out and I give you the whole house, you'd run through every room trying to get out saying, who's this nut? I didn't want, you know, she seemed like a nice person, but would she take me home with her for? I was perfectly happy here. So the thing is, you know, one room after a while when I'm bringing in food and I'm saying, hey Laura, how you doing? Eventually you'll calm down a little and say, maybe it isn't that bad. And this is how it works. Just like people. Some of us make friends fast and some of us take a long time.
I just wanted to take a step back for our listeners to explain a little bit about the grant process that we were just talking about. So Marie and I worked on a grant from PetSmart Charities, which specifically focused on using money to fund spaying and neutering community cats or feral cats, basically cats whose paws are on the asphalt is the way that I always described it. And so her group, Kitty Connection, got involved with focusing on Chelsea as her target area.
No, it was Everett, because we
right,
boarded
did Everett,
Chelsea.
But then you did go into Chelsea eventually.
On another grant,
On
yes.
another grant, right.
Yes.
So it's sort of two communities. And as you said, there was a serious learning curve in there, because before that time, how had you handled free roaming cat, like calls that came in from Everett to you, or from Medford even, with free roaming cats? Did your organization feel confident in handling those calls, or not, or was much more focused on rescue at that time?
Right. Well, the thing is we would refer, like one of the questions that we ask is, do you know if the cat is friendly? You know, because that's going to be a big difference. Can we send somebody out there to, you know, one of our volunteers to kind of coax a cat into a carrier? Are we able to just go out there and pick the cat up, put it in the carrier? Even, again, a domestic cat, you might have to use a trap. But if it's feral, you have to think the next step, okay? Rescue groups, we don't have the funding. That was what was great having the grant, because you had the funding to do trap, neuter, and return. Kitty Connection, when we got those trap, neuter, and return calls, sadly we and still now, you know, we wait for those free clinics. We don't have the money unless somebody specifically makes a donation to Kitty Connection that this is for trapping specifically. You know, we don't have the funds to do it. So that's the other big question. Sometimes we'll ask somebody, would you make a donation? So if the cat is feral, we can try to do what we can to get it trapped, neutered, and returned.
And you mentioned the free Sunday spay neuter clinics. Now, if we had 3 volunteers, you know, sitting here at the table who were thinking about maybe holding feral cats before and after a clinic, and you were in charge of pitching that volunteer opportunity to them, how would you describe that process?
What they would have to be doing?
And you meant holding in terms of keeping the cat in a safe spot so that you know they'd be ready for clinic.
Trapped in the true cat traps, or the you know, humane traps, and they're covered in their sheets. But one thing we're looking for in Chelsea are volunteers that would be willing to put aside a bathroom or a basement, or, you know, a location where we could hold our cats that are in the traps.
And I think it's a special type of a job. It's rewarding, because I think it's where you really are making that impact. If we can't stop it there, it's, you know, like, what do they say, shoveling against the top. But, you know, I had a room in my basement, and when we were doing the trap, neuter, and return, and, you know, we would have it set up. It's great if you have a garage, because then you have everything right on a good level. It is a pain in the neck when you have to start carting crates down into a basement and then back up to go into the vehicles to go off to the spay neuter. But, you know, and then we'd get creative, you know, come up with ideas. So we had like boards that we would put down, and we would put the wee pads, and then we would set the traps. And we could fit, I mean, depending on how many we were shooting for, the goal is to try to get as many as we could in the room. And I'd say we could fit comfortably, if we emptied the room out, a good 8 to 10 cats if we were trapping. And then, the work is that when you start trapping, if you start trapping on a Thursday, and I always try and keep in mind the care and, keeping the cat for that many days. And then I used to always I used to make litter boxes literally to fit in the
Sure, you
traps.
use like cardboard boxes.
And you've got the forks to use that
Right.
slide in there.
Right.
So you're able to keep the cat down one end. I used to put a litter box in and then do the feeding all from another end. And then, of course, when they're going into the clinics, if, they
to
want it
clear out
all
that
emptied
stuff.
out.
Right.
Or if we were sending them into the vets are fine with them going in with the towels and stuff in
and
there.
when you talk about clinics, we're talking about Sundays. So
Sundays, or even when we were doing the trapping, we were sending them into the Catmobile left and, I mean,
Right.
they were going into
the Catmobiles
Revere Pet Clinic.
Monday through Saturday? Do they select Saturdays and
They
Sundays?
do some Saturdays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they had both trucks running when we
Yep.
first started doing the grants.
And then you have the free clinics, and then which are, I believe, subsidized through the state of Massachusetts. And then we have veterinarians that are participating in the program, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's good. I mean, and then the cats, when you're doing the trapping, they got to come back and you've got to take care of them. So usually, I mean, the meals you can usually let out the next day, but sometimes if there's something wrong,
Right.
you've got to be prepared for, a cat that might be sick and now needs to go into, a temporary foster home to get care before it would go out. We really would, if we get a cat and it has a dental problem, a bad tooth, we invested the money in them. There was just no way I could sleep at night not helping a cat completely. The goal is stop the reproduction, but I feel I want to give that cat the best shot it can get once
the
I
best
release
quality
them
of
too.
life. Yeah. So from a volunteer standpoint, though, this is a very focused event. So it's over a 5-day period,
Yeah.
at really the longest, where you're really focused
It's
on tending to these cats. And
And it's pretty consistent. That's what's really good with it. And, again, just I think when you're doing something consistent, it's nice when you start to improvise and come up with there I was making litter boxes to go into a trap because I had nothing to do.
Right.
But it's still that part that I think it's a great way to learn about cats.
Can you share with me what's been the most challenging cat to trap?
Oh, probably the hardest ones sometimes are the ones when you have to release, like the mom that you get that's nursing, and now you've got to release her.
Oh, see, I was thinking about challenging, not like emotionally
Well,
gut-wrenching,
but even that,
it's
because
both.
then when it comes back to getting her,
Yes.
she's
knows the
trap
game.
smart.
Yeah, that's
It's
true.
incredible
That's true.
how they even teach their kittens to avoid those traps. Then you got to use the drop trap. You always, and they're always one step ahead of you. So that I did look at that mother cat that you release out as a big challenge, because now you've got to figure out, how am I going to get her back? A lot of times they do spay them. They're not getting released until they're spayed. So that's the relief when you do release them, that she's not going to be reproducing anymore.
So would this typically, I mean, I know it's hard to decide, but this could be a nursing mama that you trap, and then you would get the cat to a clinic really quickly because she might have babies out there.
Yeah, well, a lot of times we don't know until the vet tells us, hey, you've got a nursing mom. They tell you to watch her, make sure that she's awake enough, and then let her out, I make sure I feed her and we release her right back to the area. We just recently, one of our volunteers lives in Lowell, and she called me that she picked up this stray cat and it looks like she's limping. She brings her to me, we take her to the vet, and she had a fractured leg, maybe got hit by a car, but the vet said she was nursing. And it's like, oh my goodness, now we're going to be able to find her. And fortunately, this is great with networking with groups, Lowell TNR. I emailed them, and one of their volunteers worked with our volunteers the second night. So after, 2 nights, the third night they were reunited with their mom. They would have been dead,
Yeah.
but they were just
Good.
fortunate, and they got the community involved. And this is what's important about community, because that makes it more successful when you have everybody working together with the mission. That's what I think is really great with how, the Hubcats group is starting, because most groups start and they have their volunteers, but I think Hubcat group is really working on getting the community involved, and that's what you really need to be successful.
In order to be successful, we need everyone helping, and even just being eyes and ears out on the street and helping to assist with the cats that are out there, and residents, individuals, businesses, and obviously the other rescue organizations. Hubcats Chelsea is pretty clear to not be all things to all animals in terms of, we're not going to be building a big shelter here.
Yeah.
So we need adoption partners, and to have a vaccination or microchipping clinic, we need assistance from others, and we've partnered with MSPCA on that.
Yeah.
So it's very essential that we do work together. Kitty Connection, Melrose Humane, Broken Tail. I mean, the list can go on in terms of the number of organizations that are helping cats from Chelsea.
And we just had a happy story too. We were full with our older cats, and there was an abandoned owner died in Malden, and the cat was 12 plus. We had no room. I sent Megan with Broken Tail Rescue an email, hey, you guys, because again, they do have the PetSmart that they're in Cambridge, so sometimes they're fortunate to be able to
Have space.
get a cat in that can go into the adoption area. And Roy with Melrose Humane, he was using my car because his car broke down to go help cats. So this is how everybody
is getting really
pitches
family
in,
here.
but it's like, it's 3 groups. And I
community.
said to Roy, hey, if you're going to use my car, could you help this person in Malden? Megan's group, take it to the vet, and Megan's group will take it. In the meantime, one of the people that knew the woman that passed away, they show up at my house to give the cat a home, and Roy was heading to Megan, and it was like a happy ending. We transferred it from Broken Tail Rescue over to Kitty Connection, and those people paid the vet bill and left with the cat.
Wonderful.
But so I mean,
that can happen in Chelsea. Okay, good.
Yes, it's just it really can, because this is how, and again, I think it's the beginning of, because here it is, Broken Tail is putting cats into foster homes and trying to recruit foster homes in this area. So and hopefully too we'll go into kitten season, and
Which is now, right?
Yes, and there's definitely a difference in the areas that Kitty Connection has worked in. We definitely don't get a lot of kitten calls in Medford like we used to when I first started. And so therefore we're actually, our kittens that we've helped even in the start of this season have all been from outside of the areas. Yeah, nothing from...
Great news to hear. As
And
you're seeing things change.
Yeah.
I want to just take a bit of a step back and find out, how did you get personally involved with your love and passion for helping cats?
Oh, I think since I was little, I loved all animals. So it wasn't just about, I used to come home with every animal to my mother. And so it just was something that I always loved. I loved helping animals. I loved helping people. So I think it was just something that I always did. It's funny because I would always call Claire with Melrose Humane. I'd find a pregnant cat, I'd find and I'd always find them homes. And for 10 years, I would make a phone call to Claire. Found this cat, found a mother cat. After 10 years, there was a mother cat with kittens, and she said they had no foster homes. She asked me if I would foster.
So there you go.
And then that was the beginning of all that time, I really never, like you said, I only thought Animal Rescue League, MSPCA existed. I didn't know there were all these small little groups, let alone think I'd ever have my own.
And fostering is actually a really great way to help, but it's also a way if you I know of some people I've met that say, I like animals, but I can't make a long-term commitment to an animal. So it's really great if they could step in and just do a temporary foster. It's like,
Yeah.
you know, they get to own a cat for a couple of weeks or
Yeah.
a month, and they get to help, and then everyone's
I
better.
always say to people, if you're a low income, it's a great way to have a pet in your life and not have most, the expenses of the medical care is covered.
Yep.
A lot of times the supplies and everything are covered. I just feel it's a great way to have a pet in your life and be able to take really good care of it. And then you're helping animals at the same time.
I see you have some statistics there on your lap. I didn't know if you wanted to share with folks
Yeah.
sort of the numbers of the cats that the Kitty Connection has been able to help in
Yeah,
Chelsea.
I mean, when we first started in 2014, because I think that was the overlap of the tail end of 2014 with the grant, and it was, we did 92 cats. In 2015, there were 142, and 2016 was 201. And let's see we adopted in the course of the time working in 3 years in Chelsea, 372 cats were adopted.
So it gives
into
us a
homes,
sense of what we're talking
yes.
about, the number of cats in Chelsea,
Yeah. And when you're looking at the number of releases, and this I think is what was so
Right.
amazing to us for Chelsea, was there were 14 releases.
So a
So
lot of the cats
we're
you
friendly.
trap from Chelsea have been
a lot
either,
of them didn't even need trapping.
you could just pick
Sometimes
them up.
Super was just picking them up and throwing them in a trap.
And I know from talking to other people that do rescue, everybody does try to see if there is an owner.
Yes.
And there's sometimes, someone might find a cat and they don't know what to do. So they might post a flyer in the location where they found the cat just
Yep.
to say, found cat. It works
Yep.
sometimes.
Yep.
But maybe here it's more abandonment, you think, huh?
Yeah, I think a lot of people still, it's all about cultures, that cats stay outside. I mean, I remember, I'm Italian culture, first generation. I remember when I was little, we had a cat, and it was an indoor-outdoor cat. It was just natural. So, of course, even when I had my cats, they were indoor outdoor. It wasn't until I really got involved with Melrose Humane that you start realizing why cats belong inside. And like everybody, I live on a little dead end street. I used to think that they're fine, they sit on my front stoop, the yard was fenced in, they're in the driveway, and my cat got hit by a car in my driveway. And when you spend that money, it sort of like opens your eyes too when you experience, because the cat wasn't going out anymore. I told her unless she could get a job and pay for her own medical, her days of going out were numbered.
Well, there's danger everywhere, right?
There is. And now the cities have so much wildlife in it, it just isn't, like parts of Medford, West Medford, the Fisher cats, they're, they're not nocturnal, they're out all day. So even for children's safety, you should keep your cats in, because most of these wild animals are going to come after the small animals, especially when fall starts to come and the wildlife is dwindling. You're encouraging wild animals to come into your backyards, and your kids are
scary.
playing there. Yeah.
The one thing that I'm really pleased about with Hubcats Chelsea is our partnership with the animal control officer. Officer Texiera, he's coming to our meetings, and if someone is missing their cat, he wants to know. And there is a Facebook page also dedicated to Lost and Found for Chelsea, and I believe it's Chelsea and Everett cats. I think we've made a lot of extra efforts when people are missing their cats to try and get the word out, and social media is playing a stronger role, so that if somebody is letting their cat out, I mean, the last thing we want to do is
pick it
scoop
up.
their cat,
Right, take
but
their pet. Yep.
also, we don't want to have a cat that needs our assistance not get it because it's a friendly cat and we're making an assumption that somebody owns
Well,
that
that's
cat
why it's
too.
important for people, I think, today, if they're letting their cats go out, is they have to microchip it. Because if you microchip your cat and a rescue person picks it up, it's going. We had
scan
a success story one time. Cat was lost for 2 years. We trapped it in Medfit, brought it to the Catmobile in Saugus, had a microchip. The people were ecstatic. They came to the Catmobile and
And where was
picked
the cat from?
Saugus.
Oh, all right. So the Catmobile was in Saugus, and that's where they did the scan.
But we picked the cat up in Medfit in someone's backyard.
Okay, and the cat originally was from Saugus.
No, I'm thinking, I don't think it was Saugus. It was someplace off in that area, but not Saugus. She came to Saugus to pick it up.
I mean, a lot of cats
Yeah.
roam pretty far than a few blocks from the house. So, yeah.
So, or you never know. I mean, did it roam, get picked up, somebody takes it home, but thank God it was the microchip that reunited that family with their cat.
And it's great because, Hubcats has got different programs. So one of them is going to be rabies vaccination and microchipping in September of this year, 2017. So that's an opportunity for people that have cats and it'd be low cost if
Well, the
no
microchipping
cost.
is free.
Well, there it's even better.
Yeah.
The rabies vaccination is free, so it's all covered, and I believe the date is September 24th.
Correct.
But everybody can just check out the website; it'll be updated, and also check out our website for our past episodes of this show too. This is our fourth show, if we count the one that we did with Duke. This is our fourth show. So Laura, you and I were creating a series.
Yes, we didn't know that, did we?
Which is good because it gets the word out there for people to know where to get the help. Sometimes I think as much as we can get flyers and everything up, people are still, not hearing the word. So I think the thing that's great with the TV shows is they keep going on too. So, people, there's reruns that will somehow or another get information out to somebody down the road that needs it. So I think it's definitely important.
One thing that we've heard about a lot is that the numbers of cats going into shelters has gone way down. And you made a comment about the number of kitten calls going down in Medford. As a smaller organization, do you still feel like you're strapped and overwhelmed and overworked, or do you feel like you're getting a bit of a sense of relief in sort of the overpopulation situation with cats, or is the phone still just ringing off the hook?
I think the phone still rings off the hook because you have people that just, like there'll be the message on the line, or you call somebody back and they're like, what group are you with? Because, I've called 15 groups. So people, those are a lot with surrenders, people that need to give up their cats, or, again, a stray, and they're calling as many groups as they can reach to get somebody to be able to help them. So I think the lines, I think, are still always inundated. I laugh because there must be a kitty connection in Georgia.
Oh,
and
you get calls from them?
I get it all the time, and I feel so bad. And I'll call, and I know I'll listen, and now today with phone numbers, everybody has strange numbers, but I can tell by the voice that it's not from Boston.
And you are not the cat connection, which is in Waltham, right? Okay.
Right. Kitty Connection.
Now, does Kitty Connection have any events that are coming up in the late summer, early fall?
Well, what we're doing is every other weekend, we seem to have made a group of volunteers that enjoy doing yard sales, and one of my neighbors lives on a corner near the main street. So last year, every weekend we did yard sales to raise money for the extra medical, for the different cats, and it was very successful. We had regular customers. So it's so funny. We were laughing because, as we were preparing for this year, and we decided, okay, we'll do it every other. This way it gives us enough time. And so every other, starting June 10th, because Medfit's doing an all-wide yard sale.
Townwide, yeah?
Yeah. And and from there, every other week, weather permitting, we'll be outside doing yard sales. And we tell people, see you next week. And when we were out, kind of like preparing and talking to my neighbor about setting up, and people were walking by, and we were waving, Janet and I, saying, hey, we're getting ready for the yard sales. And they're like, people give me their phone number so they can come early and look through some of the bags. So it's really,
pickers.
It's nice, and again, it gets the message out. Medfit Historical Society, they do a few tours, And my street's the last street on the tour because of shipbuilding. So we're out there doing yard sales, and she's very, very nice because, of course, she knows Kitty Connection. And she she says, oh, and we'll let Marie talk about Kitty Connection. So, and yeah, the more you talk about it, no matter what city someone's from, you're going to get the word out there to get animals off the street.
If people are interested in finding out more about Kitty Connection, what's the best way for them to do that?
Go to our website, www.kittyconnection.net. We have a Facebook page. Sue is great with getting Facebook up. Yeah,
That's good. That's the best way to do it.
Yeah.
Are there any other thoughts that you'd like to share with our listeners in Chelsea?
Yeah, I think today what all rescue groups really need is volunteers, and really deep-rooted, committed volunteers. Today, with the social media that we have, you don't even have to leave your house to volunteer today. And there's so many ways that people can help and get the word out there and the message of what we're trying to do by making telephone calls, helping groups answer these phone calls that we get. Learning about how you can offer advice and information to people that are seeking it and be able to direct them. Picture if we had enough people for all the organizations to get 500 phone calls, 500 emails, and we knew there were people that were willing to return some of these phone calls.
And then there's also, as we talked earlier about, fostering opportunities in terms of doing a lot of things from your home. Yeah,
and even adoptions. I mean, Kitty Connection's done a lot of little projects to see what works, and I mean, we did an experiment. We had like about 20 foster homes, and then we went down to 4. And we actually adopted out more cats than when we had 20 foster homes. And the key was really good adoption council volunteers. Because if you have people and you have that marketing of getting the word out there, and the volunteers that know the cats, they're, and they're talking, the cats don't have a voice. They need us to talk for them. And, because remember, when a cat gets adopted, it opens the space for you to take in another cat. So I can't say how important that being an adoption person is to keeping the flow of animals. We can't save if we don't adopt. So I found that to be really, really important.
That's great.
Yeah, so if you can't open your home, then find a group. Kitty Connection's one that you could help on a Saturday, Sunday, Wednesday nights. We do adoptions specifically from my home. And it's hard. I wish there were more people too, or stores that would now that we don't have the pet stores to go into, that could really promote meet and greets. Yes. Right. Yeah, that'd be nice.
And speaking of volunteers, Hubcats is also looking for volunteers, and we meet typically the first Tuesday of every month at the police station. We round up a pretty good crowd, and we've already talked, at least on the show, about how organizations work together. So be part of the network.
Yep, absolutely. Yep. It's teamwork that makes things successful.
Yeah, we have our monthly meetings, and so we all get together and see how we're doing, and just to report in on some statistics on how Hubcats Chelsea is doing with our large grant that we've gotten. So far we've assisted over 150 cats, and we have assisted 28 dogs. So that means assisted meaning paid for their spay and neutering and rabies vaccinations. And that's been great. It's very successful, and I mean that's through the wintertime. So obviously it's going to pick up come summertime.
Absolutely, yeah.
And we definitely encourage folks, if they need assistance and they're in Chelsea, if they're a resident of Chelsea, to take advantage of our vaccination and microchipping clinics, as well as the free spay neuter. I'm putting the plug in, letting Laura.
That's yes, get a breath of fresh air. Yes, and then we also have you mentioned the spay neuter, and that's available. You can get information on our website, and we have the phone number again, which is 857-776-2287, and you can get information on the hotline or on the website, and We also use the MSPCA, so you can call there as well and get information on how you can help your cat.
Yep, and just reach out to us because we want to know if you're concerned about cats in the community. It's really, information is incredibly valuable when you're trying to help community cats. That's really actually critical. I use the word tribal knowledge a lot, and I think it's really important. So if you are feeding cats in Chelsea, if you're caring for cats, if you see cats, give our hotline a call. Let us know, and then we know that we can get them on the list and get them the assistance that they need. So Marie, it's been great catching up with you today.
Certainly
it's been
has
so
been,
nice
yes.
to see you. And I want to thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me on.
And Laura, as always, thank you for joining me on the show.
But of course.
And organizing and everything. And thank you for making the program happen. So appreciate that very, very much. So I want to thank you both. And Laura, we will see you next time at our next show.
Absolutely.
And I'd just like to share with everybody to remember that no cat is being left behind in Chelsea. And we'll see you next time too.